effort we've advanced from day one of my administration to demonstrate to our Indo-Pacific partners and to the world the United States is a Pacific nation, and we're not going anywhere.
Ross Feingold joins us now from Taipei. He's an Asia political risk analyst. Great to have you back with us, Ross. We can see there the US president really on somewhat of a charm offensive in Vietnam, but also in the region at large. Tell us more about what the Biden administration is trying to achieve.
Well, as President Biden said during the press conference on Sunday night, he emphasized that this is not about containing China, and it's about improving existing relationships or expanding into new relationships, whether that's on issues like supply chain resiliency or climate change or other areas of potential cooperation. But the way he framed that is probably going to cause a lot of criticism in the United States, because ultimately, no matter what President Biden said, this is about China. And it's about the United States building closer relationships with countries in East or Southeast Asia as a way to counterbalance China's extraordinary influence.
Yes, and we know that countries like Vietnam, as well as Indonesia and the Philippines, are currently locked in a dispute with China over territorial claims in the South China Sea. Is Biden, do you think, trying to leverage that friction with Beijing in order to perhaps win over countries like Vietnam in the region?
He's probably trying to leverage across a number of issues, whether that's sovereignty disputes in the South China Sea, China's economic clout, or in some cases just political system, and China trying to export its own governance system to other countries. But I think we have to keep in mind, and you alluded to it in the question, that these other countries have areas of dispute with China, but they often also say how much they want to continue to cooperate with China, because in many cases, China is their most important trading partner. So I think analysts in the United States, people in Washington, D.C., they should be very careful about assuming, whether it's Thailand or Indonesia or Vietnam, that the so-called charm offensive by President Biden is going to put these countries fully in the camp of the United States. I personally think that's very unrealistic.
Well, that's right, because China obviously is currently a world superpower, and it's much closer to these countries than the United States is. How realistic is it, do you think, for the United States to reassert itself in the region?
Well, the way I like to describe it is when you're handing out money, people are going to take it. So when President Biden hosted the ASEAN leaders at the White House last year, he announced, I believe it was $150 million in new spending by the United States in several Southeast Asian countries for things like English language education and other types of programs. So in Vietnam, yesterday and today, reading the fact sheet that the White House issued, there's a long list of programs where the United States is going to provide financing in different things, whether that's to help develop Vietnam's tech industry, again, English language education, cultural interaction, things related to the environment. So Vietnam's not going to turn it down when the United States says, oh, we'd like to hand you the 10, 20, $50 million to do some joint programs. So of course they're going to say yes, but again, that doesn't mean they're going to become an ally of the United States.
Okay, Ross Feingold, we'll have to leave it there, but thank you as always for sharing your analysis with us.
Thank you.